So, I'm just staring at the camera here. Let's continue the discussion of preparing people to cope with climate change, including climate anxiety. And this one is again few words on how problem-focused coping strategies aim at trying to do something about the problem which is causing distress. In other words, you don't want to feel helpless. If the message is about climate change, its impacts, and how much worse it's going to get, is making you freeze or fly. They say the response can be fight or flight, rest and digest. So there are lots of psychological ideas, psychology ideas about what makes you behave in a more concrete, constructive way when you face challenges or distress. So problem-focused coping is one, and climate change especially yields to some actions like doing something on your own to feel engaged and feel like you're contributing. So you still have to find ways to see what are the bigger issues that you cannot really control. So adopt a problem-solving attitude, take action, take a break from being too focused on the problem. So avoid, bad news cycles. Unfortunately, every day, every corner of the world, in every language, the media is reporting climate impacts, and often they are faraway news like maybe some birds are going to disappear, kimchi is going to disappear, chocolate is going to disappear, the wine is going to be impossible. And many times you say maybe, maybe, maybe. So there are uncertainties, but media loves to say, the worst case scenario. So you have to be careful about tuning out some of these things and focusing maybe on concrete things that are happening, and if there are concrete things you can do, right? So the next one is create social norms, model pro-environmental behaviors and leave behavioral traces, show that it's normal to be green, promote norms that everybody is doing it. So show how well known and respected people are also engaging with climate change. Depends on where you get your motivation from. But if you think about tobacco and smoking, when initial ideas were pitched, I think by Bill Clinton, about reducing smoking behaviors by putting all sorts of punishments, taxes on cigarettes, and so on, there were a lot of hue and cry about how farmers who have been doing this for generations will go bankrupt. But now you can pretty much ban smoking in entire towns, not just buildings and campuses, and still people accept it. Smoking is not going to go away. Smoking, tobacco companies are not disappearing. They're still there and they're still making profit. But you can, reduce number of smokers by putting these restrictions, and it becomes okay not to smoke, or becomes a social stigma to smoke, and so on and so forth. I understand the trauma of the smokers, especially when they fly and they feel this anxiety and so on. Okay, so there is a balance between having social norms to prevent people from engaging in bad practices like smoking, which is not good for you anyway, and polluting or causing climate change, where the issue is more complicated. You may be just doing something for earning your next meal, and that could be bad for climate, but somebody has to then find you a way to do things another way and earn your living, right? So model the pro-environmental behaviors that you would like other people to take up. So what we see people doing matters, peer pressure matters. Our brains are highly tuned to noticing others' behaviors and copying them. This happens automatically and often unconsciously, and could be good or bad. So you have to be a positive change agent. Make your pro-environmental behavior very visible, but don't be preachy. Leave behind as many behavioral traces as you can. Transmit the meaning of your pro-environmental behavior as well. So not saying you are bad, that, or I am better, but that you are doing this because it's good for the environment and you are not losing anything, and they can do it and they can also benefit, and so on. Transmit the meaning of your pro-environmental behavior. Attach stickers to cars and letterboxes and other places. People are more likely to copy models they see are rewarded. So people want to feel like they are being noticed, rewarded. So here is one example. Solar, the people's choice. More than 1 million rooftop solar PV systems installed. 2.6 million Australians are using the sun to power their homes. So you can motivate people because you want to belong, you want to be part of a community that is seen as doing something positive, and so on. Promote norms that everybody is doing it and it's normal to be green. We already said this. Examples: 95% of people using this trail put their litter in bins. 87% of people in the supermarket choose products that favor the environment. 93% of the people who work here use public transport, walking or cycling to get to work. And show how people like you and me are engaging with climate change. Tell stories, show videos, photographs, and so on. Field experiments have shown when people are given feedback about the average energy consumption of their neighbors, they tend to adjust their own energy use to conform to the group norm. So people internalize the behavioral norms, accepted norms, and want to be better people. Okay, the comic strip here was created by makebelievescomics.com. Go there to make one yourself. Hey Flo, did you know most of the people in our streets have switched energy company to one that supports renewables? Well, if everyone else in the street has moved to a more green power company, I should probably do it too. Okay, so there is an impact of peer pressure, or just the idea of a community belonging. Show how well known and respected people are also engaging with climate change. So popular leaders, whether they are political, spiritual, or popular, are good at setting social norms, but you also have climate deniers, like, let's say, one of the leading presidential candidates in the US, who keeps saying exactly the opposite. People are also likely to listen to and be influenced by the views of people they know and trust and feel are like them. Most people value and highly respect the views of scientists and academics, while having very little faith in journalists or politicians. What? So scientists and academics have even more public trust than journalists or politicians. That's kind of funny. I thought journalists would be trusted, but obviously with all these media where news tends to be entertainment or alarmist or hyperboles are used and so on, maybe people are losing trust, but let's hope that's not a trend. People are more likely to take action on climate change when they feel a strong sense of affiliation with the person or institution making the request. So credibility, legitimacy, and salience have been pointed out by many communications experts as critical ingredients for getting your message across. Are you a trusted person? Are you seen as credible? Is your message salient enough? And are you a legitimate person to be able to give such a message? Okay, so there are many people like this. David Peacock, Kate Blanchett, an actress. This is a World Cup rugby player. Pope Francis, he has many other controversies about using slurs against gay people and so on, but nonetheless he's a trusted world leader, not just for Catholics, for everybody. Prince Charles, Barack Obama, and so on. The next one, talk about it. Break the collective silence about climate change. Challenge climate change denial when you hear it. explain the scientific consensus, advocate for action on climate change to politicians, opinion leaders, decision makers, and in workplaces, engage in climate change dialogue. This can be useful when people are able to debate or listen and make points rather than people who just like to shout. The more people hear others talk about the risk of climate change, and the more climate change is viewed within one's social network as a risk that requires action, the more it amplifies an individual's own risk perception and intentions to act to guard against the risks. Break the collective silence about climate change then. I was just reading that the local cricket club has been affected by water shortages and heat as a result of climate change. This is Australia, but you can see it could also be that cricket is being played now in Qatar and Dubai and so on. But there isn't any definite link that says humans are having an impact on the climate. So how do we know that climate change is affecting the club? So that sounds like a legitimate question. A skeptic, skepticism is good. Always question, right? Actually, scientists are as certain about the link between human behavior and climate change as they are about smoking and cancer. Remember, in the beginning, tobacco companies also spread rumors that smoking and cancer were not really related. Okay, so let's leave this here. Already we are about 11 minutes long, so let's come back and maybe we'll be able to conclude in one more podcast. Simple points, but for the lay audience it could still be important, especially for the young people, so that they are prepared for the coming climate changes, because it's their future and the future is theirs. So the better prepared they are to deal with these, the better off they will be in doing something rather than just being anxious and distressed. Okay?